My name is Jake. Welcome to the channel. In 2023, I retired from my corporate day job at the age of 37. Fast forward to today, I've been retired from my 9-to-5 job for 3.5 years. If you watch finance videos on YouTube like me, you probably came across a video on the importance of multiple sources of income. I enjoy watching those videos, and the reason why this is so important is because most people just have their day job that they rely on. And now in 2026, with all of these announcements of companies laying off people, it can be really scary when you're the person getting laid off and you have no other source of income to rely on if you were to lose your job. Now, when it comes to multiple sources of income, it can get a little out of hand, here on YouTube with some of these videos, because some of these videos here, where they talk about their sources of income, some of the people that share these videos, they have like 20 sources of income. And that never resonated with me when someone had, hey, look at all of my other side hustles. I sell eggs on the side. I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that. That was really just like, okay, that's a little bit too much. But having more than one source of income is really valuable and really important. Even if you are in a good situation today, your fortunes may change on a whim, and you may wake up to an email with a notice that you're no longer employed. And so if you only have one source of income, your day job, it's really important to consider, hey, maybe I should diversify my income sources so I'm not just reliant on one source of income, if the unthinkable were to happen. Now, when it comes to where you're getting your income, I think most people would agree that having multiple sources of income is better than only having one. And having multiple sources of income can protect you should one of your income sources disappear out of nowhere. But I guess more is not always better, and it can get a little bit complicated at times. And well, I guess it could look a little like this.
Hey, you got that $20 you owe me?
I don't have 20, but here's 10.
Oh, all right.
Hey, you got that 20 you owe me?
I don't got 20, but I got 10.
Hey, how about that $20 you owe me?
I don't got 20, but here's 10.
Thanks. Hey, man, here's that $10 I owe you.
Nice. I owe you 10.
Dang. There you go. I owe you 10.
Oh, that's great, man. Now we're all paid up.
Gosh, oh man, I had to watch that like 2 or 3 times. I was like, wait, what? Huh? Oh man. All right, cool. So let's take a look at this. So now when looking at the full year 2025, we had 3 main sources of income and a few other sources of income that I'll kind of touch on, but they really came from 3. So the very first source of income that we had in 2025 was from our dividend income. So the dividends that we generate are from owning shares in dividend ETFs like SEHD, DJRO, JEPQ, and JEPI. These low-fee funds pay us monthly and quarterly. This is the most passive source of income that we have, and it's important to understand that we didn't just blink an eye and all of a sudden we started generating all this passive income. It took many years and years of sacrifice and investment into these investment funds so that we could receive this source of income. So it's important to understand that it's not just like it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time and effort to build up a source of income that's going to pay you to live off of, like the income that we get from our dividend portfolio. So when I think about it, this is one of our most passive sources of income that we have. The second source of income that we have is from our options income. Now, many of you are probably not going to understand what this is, or maybe you've heard of it, but you have kind of a different understanding of what I mean here with options. So what I'm talking about is selling covered calls and cash secured puts. This is different than buying options. Most people, myself included, when I first heard about options, I always thought it was risky. It was like gambling. And so I always kind of associated options with, gambling. And it wasn't until later where I realized, wait a second, options, investing into options, there's 2 sides of it. There's the buying side and then there's the selling side. And so what I'm doing and what I'm focusing on is the selling side. So I'm not buying something with the hopes that it goes up in a short period of time. I'm able to control the outcome quite a bit more. Kind of think about it like your car insurance, right? You need car insurance or home insurance and you're paying those premiums. And more times than not, when you're paying those premiums, the insurance company, you're not going to have any claims. You're not going to have to pay anything out. When you are paying your premiums, you're not getting in an accident. You're not having claims. The insurance company is collecting those premiums every single month. That is essentially what I'm doing when I'm selling cash secured puts and cover calls. I'm acting as the insurance company and I'm collecting those premiums. And I'm setting the terms of what I'm doing here. And that's kind of in a nutshell what I mean with option selling. And when it comes to our options income, I would categorize this more as semi-passive. It's not where I'm spending tons and tons of time on it. There's a lot of upfront time invested into learning about what you're doing and understanding it. But once you've been doing it for a while, it only takes maybe an hour or two a week where you're looking at it and you're managing it. And it's really not a big time investment when it comes to that. And when it comes to our options income, this represented 46% of our total income in 2025. So even more than our dividend income. There's a lot of opportunity and potential when it comes to options income. And so if you've never heard of it, it's not for everybody, but it could definitely be a source of income that you could rely on potentially in early retirement. I think for me personally, I absolutely love it. I recommend it if you're going to take the time to learn it. And our third source of income is YouTube. Now, YouTube can vary from year by year, month to month. And 2025, we made a little bit more. And in this year, 2026, it's been quite a bit less. But with YouTube, it's kind of a mixed bag. And it depends on, how the videos perform. It depends on the affiliates, the sponsors, if I have sponsor videos at all. But if I look at the results from last year, the ads that I received. So when you're watching my videos and you see an ad pop up, it represented 17% of the income that I generated from YouTube. And then if you've been watching my videos for a while, you'll notice that sometimes every so often I'll have a sponsored video, and the sponsorships in 2025 consisted of 46% of the income that I generated. So more than double the money that I generate from ads. And then the third way I make money from YouTube is from affiliates. So in the description of my videos, I always have affiliate links from Snowball Analytics, Seeking Alpha, for example. And when people click on those links and sign up with my link, I get a kickback. And it is a huge way that I'm able to make money from YouTube. So if you break it down, I'm only making not even 20% of the income that I make from YouTube is from ads. Meaning, if I didn't have the sponsorships and the affiliates, I would be making less money than minimum wage. So for the time and effort that I put into YouTube, it would not be worth it to have a YouTube channel. I love it. It's a passion. It's great. But, at the end of the day, right, if you're doing something, you're investing your time and your effort into it, and you're not even making minimum wage, you start to rethink your decisions in life. And so I'm so grateful for the sponsorships that I've had, though I don't have very, very many. Not every video has a sponsor in it, and I don't care that much about it. I'm more so focused on what do I need where it makes sense to keep doing it, making videos where, I'm getting enough of a return where it's like, hey, I feel like this is a good balance for my effort. So I'm very grateful for the sponsorships that I have, and I'm even more grateful for all of you who click on the links, who subscribe to Seeking Alpha or Snowball Analytics, for example, the affiliates that I have in my description of my videos. I just am so very grateful because I don't sell any product or, course or anything like that. All I'm really doing is I'm just sharing my thoughts and opinions about my experience with dividend investing, retiring early, all that good stuff. And I'm very, very grateful for everyone's support. Having YouTube as an income source is kind of a mixed bag. It's great while it works, but at any moment it can just vanish. And I've even noticed that with my own channel. There's years where it's doing very well. There's years where, it just isn't hitting. My videos aren't performing very well, or finance videos on YouTube or dividend investment videos, they're just not very popular, or the seasonality in the year, or advertisers are just not spending a lot of money, or brands are not willing to spend money on, sponsorships. It can be quite a bit of a roller coaster. And so I'm grateful for what I have. I'm grateful that it's worked these many years. And I just take it day by day, month by month, year by year. At any moment, it could vanish. And that's why it's important to have multiple sources of income. And with all my sources of income, YouTube is by far the most active, and it represented 13% of my overall income in 2025. And here for 2026, it's quite a bit lower. It's lower than 10% here in 2026. So kind of ebbs and flows. And then the fourth source of income is credit card hacking and sign-up bonuses. So this is actually a real source of income, whether it be a sign-up bonus through a credit card, it could be signing up to a new checking account, savings account, it could be signing up or transferring a brokerage, right? If you transfer a brokerage, say from M1 to Robinhood or Robinhood to M1, Vanguard to Robinhood, etc., generally you'll get like a 1 or a 2% transfer bonus, and that can definitely add up. Now, you can't do that every single year with your brokerage because there's limitations around that, but it can be a lucrative way to generate a little bit of income. And I definitely see it as a source of income because it's something that I plan on doing regularly. And when you do credit card hacking right, and you're doing it, so for example, my wife can do it, I can do it, we can easily generate a couple $1,000s in value, whether it be through travel credits, cash back, hotel credits. It can add up to a very sizable amount, and you can do it every single year if you're managing it correctly. So credit card hacking is actually kind of a side gig. It's a source of income for us. So definitely something to check out if you've never done it before. And I would definitely classify this as kind of semi-passive. It takes a little bit of time checking up on, the deals that they have, credit card hacking, planning around transfer bonuses, stuff like that. So it's a little bit semi-active, just depends on kind of what you're doing. And in 2025, this represented 4% of our total income. And then the fifth source of income is from interest income. We have an emergency fund. We have that money in a high yield savings account, and we make a good little bit of money every single month from that. And, very, very passive, nothing to do there. And so that represented in 2025, 1% of our total income. So not very much, but every dollar adds up. And then the last source of income for us is actually not a traditional source of income, I guess you would say, but the sixth one is saving money is making money. Every dollar that we save is making a dollar. That's how I view it. So not to sound too cheesy or anything, but the last source of income for us is saving money, because saving money is making money. If you save 20% because you bought a gift card, you got 20% off, you were going to buy that burrito or go see that movie anyways, you got 20 or 30% off, you just saved $5. Hey, you just made $5. It really just depends on how you look at it. It's kind of the whole glass half full, half empty kind of thing. I was going to spend that money anyways, so I saved or made $5 on that transaction. That's how I look at it. You can either go out of your way to make $1, or you can go out of your way to save $1. Both can have a positive impact at the end of the day. Now, I wouldn't spend 10 hours to make $10, just like I wouldn't spend 10 hours to save $10. There has to be a balance on both sides. Every dollar saved is a dollar made. Well, there you have it. These are our sources of income in early retirement. I'd be curious to hear what sources of income you plan to retire with. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see everybody in next week's video.
Please subscribe. Please subscribe.
You know what? I think we're gonna be friends. Can everyone say hi to my friend? That's crazy. I just wanted to say thanks. I'm glad you came along, partner.